Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Maki Arai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week, we bring you the freshest information out of Japan right here from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are our topics for today.
Oracle Japan, a leader in database solutions, reaches up into the cloud.
In World Business Satellite, nursing care robots and research to put them into practical use.
Also from World Business Satellite, businesses in the black that still go bankrupt.
And in Takumi, a craftsman who created something that's indistinguishable from the real thing. So let's get started. First up is a video report from the Nikkei online edition. So, Utsuda-san, what do we have today?
Yes, this time we'll be looking at an unusual machine that's being used in food processing factories and in the kitchens of restaurants. So take a look. Now, this is one of the biggest exhibitions in Asia on food-related equipment, and about 700 companies participated.
So these are all the latest machines in the industry.
Yes, that's right.
Yakitori.
Now, the company at this booth, it makes printers that can print images and pictures on food.
You can select what kind of image you want to print out here. You can shrink or enlarge the picture.
Wow. Impressive.
It actually uses an inkjet system, and it can print images on the rough surface of a biscuit or on a soft marshmallow.
It is precise. And this is, oh, it can even print on a picture.
Yes.
Wow.
You can surprise someone when they open up a package. And it's easy to do. That alone is an added value.
Wow, so it's great that you can make an original snack.
Isn't it? And the ink that's used is food coloring, obviously, so it's safe to eat. And they say with a 5-centimeter cookie, you can print on an image on 4,800 of them in an hour.
Wow. Wow, they sliced the tomato in one go.
Impressive, isn't it? Here they're promoting a tool to make perfect sliced tomatoes.
Put the tomato in here and just push it to produce uniform tomato slices that are 5.5 centimeters in diameter. With previous models, you had to cut each slice individually. But our customers asked us to make something more efficient. So we came up with this.
Now, they say this was developed in response to requests by a major hamburger restaurant chain.
Well, I'm curious, how do they get the slices to come out so even? I mean, I bet even a trained chef would find that difficult.
The blades are positioned alternately. There are 2 levels, in front and in back. If they're all in the same position, the thickness of the blades would exert pressure. But by positioning them alternately, we're able to reduce that pressure and prevent the tomato from being squished.
So this can be used for paprika and oranges and other fruits and vegetables too.
We've had inquiries from pastry shops interested in using this for dried fruits and other ingredients. Our customers want something that can streamline processes, simplify their work, and is also safe to use so that part-timers don't get injured. We designed and developed this with those factors in mind.
Well, I think I would have fun just looking around at that expo. And I have to say, those devices were impressive and almost the same or even better than an experienced chef.
Yes, you may be right. And as you might know, there's an acute labor shortage in the restaurant industry. So demand for this type of equipment is expected to grow in the future. And also that may be the reason why 100,000 people came during the 4-day event.
I see. Well, next up is Executive Insight. So, who are we going to be hearing from this time?
If you can first take a look over here at this picture. It says Larry Ellison, that's who it is, but do you know who he is?
Well, I think I've seen him, but I don't know exactly what he does.
Well, he's actually the founder of Oracle, and he's considered one of the titans of the IT industry, along with the late Steve Jobs of Apple and Bill Gates of Microsoft.
So Apple and Microsoft are household names in Japan, but Oracle isn't as well known, I guess. So what exactly do they do?
Well, their main business is developing systems that help companies manage their computer databases.
So can you explain what a database is?
Well, put simply, we have a picture over here. A database organizes data in a way that makes it possible to search, retrieve, and use information as efficiently as possible.
So what exactly are these databases used for?
Well, actually, we use them all the time in our daily lives. And for example, when you withdraw cash from an ATM, or when you buy something from an online shopping site like Amazon, or even using social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. These systems are all possible because of databases.
I see. So they're all things we use every day without really thinking about how they actually work.
Yes, you're right. And Oracle provides these types of services to companies. And this time we had a chance to speak with the president of Oracle Japan, Hiroshige Sugihara. And while the company is foreign-owned, it has roots in Japan. So take a look.
Executive Insight. The America's Cup is an international yacht race. It's said to be the oldest sports trophy in the world, with a history preceding even the modern Olympics and soccer's World Cup. In each race, 2 yachts representing 2 different countries are pitted against each other. The boats are steered entirely by people. Without perfect coordination, a team will be quickly overtaken by its rival. The winner of last year's event was the U.S. team. Its sponsor was Oracle. Oracle boasts the biggest market share in the world in business use databases, with annual revenue of $38 billion. At the America's Cup, the company outfitted the yacht and crew with more than 300 sensors. The sensors on the vessel collected data such as pressure on parts, while those on the crew measured the effect of their steering on speed. The crew sensors provide other information such as heart rate and blood pressure. Over 3,000 pieces of data were collected every second. The data was analyzed in real time and immediately fed back into their strategy. For example, when a maneuver requiring physical strength is required, the fatigue level of the crew is checked, allowing them to determine in real time who to relegate that task to. By using data, they sought to maximize performance. Oracle Japan is the local unit of US-based Oracle, which sponsored Team USA in the America's Cup. A tea room on the top floor of a high-rise building. It is a place to receive and entertain guests with a cup of tea. This is in fact inside the headquarters of Oracle Japan. The president is Hiroshige Sugihara, who has worked at numerous foreign-owned IT companies. He speaks to us about the business of data analysis.
From your perspective, what is the position of Oracle Japan in the Oracle Group?
Right now, we're in the tea room of the top floor of Oracle Japan headquarters. Before I came here, I worked at various companies. What's surprising is that Oracle is the only foreign-owned company in Japan that has a tea room. This actually came about at the behest of the founder, Larry Ellison himself. It's an indication of how big a position Japan has played in his business life.
This is Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. While working at a Japanese company in his early days, he frequently visited Japan. After going to the ancient Japanese capital of Kyoto, he's said to have grown fond of the country.
Larry liked the craftsmanship he saw in Japan. The craftsman's spirit, you could say. The pursuit of perfection by pruning and pruning. Both technology and the Japanese tea ceremony share that kind of spirit.
The tea room that Larry built is this. While the company is foreign-owned, the room is said to symbolize the desire of the founder to incorporate Japanese values in everyday work. Oracle Japan generated $1.5 billion in revenue last year. Business has continued to grow on the back of their database solutions. Databases are a way of organizing data to make it easier to use. They play a critical role in the systems behind many of the things that consumers use every day, such as ATMs and social networking services. Oracle Japan has expanded by supporting companies and governments in carrying out such operations. This is a major liquor store chain that operates over 30 branches, mainly in central Tokyo. Establishments such as this say a big problem is figuring out how much of what product to order. In particular, new items can be hit or miss, making procurement difficult.
New products aren't established, so sales fluctuate. If the volume you ordered sells out faster than expected, then you'll have no more products in stock. If sales are slow, then you'll end up having too much leftover inventory.
Applying its own technology, Oracle Japan built a system to minimize inefficiencies in product shipments.
Our technology helps to optimize inventory, to give customers what they need when they need it, so you can forecast further out into the future.
Using Oracle Japan's technology, a major beer maker has started making adjustments to its inventory. Here they are discussing the creation of an analysis system.
The biggest characteristic of this system is that it can provide superior analysis of both structured and non-structured data.
On a trial basis, they have started formulating a forecast for the shipment volume of a new product launched in May using the analysis system. They showed us how it works. The system carries out detailed analysis of various data to forecast daily shipment volumes. For example, the actual results of previous product launches. That information is combined with other data, such as wholesale and retail inventory of the new product, to come up with a forecast.
After a product is put on the market, the shipment volume can vary drastically depending on customer demand. Before, we didn't have many decision-making tools, so we'd waste time debating what to do. But now we can look at data like this and have materials to make a rational decision.
This is a graph showing shipments of a new product sold in the past. The blue line is shipments from the factory to wholesalers. The orange is sales by wholesalers to retailers. The difference is inventory. This is a graph of the latest product using Oracle system. The difference between the lines is narrower. This is how it looks compared. They say inventory has been reduced by several tens of thousands of cases. The company plans to add more data to improve accuracy.
We're thinking of making it so that you can see the linkage between consumer reviews on Twitter and other direct feedback and shipments.
For example, comparing the frequency of tweets compared to other products. They also want to look at the content of reviews to find out the reason for sales.
Many companies rely on experience for inventory management. If more of them can make rational and quantitative decisions in this way, it will become possible for even inexperienced staff to respond in the same way. That's our aim.
The idea is to improve precision by replacing what was previously done through a person's sixth sense with computer analysis.
We've collected many different types of data, and the question is how to analyze that mass and use it. That will be the key to getting more customers to use big data and computing technology in the future.
This July, Mr. Sugihara unveils a new strategy.
We will become number one in the cloud. We'll plant our feet firmly in the first 3 years and jump in the following 3. 6 years to achieve what we call Vision 2020.
The cloud is a type of internet-based computing. It allows files, software, and other information stored at a data center to be accessed over internet networks. For example, an accounting program can be used anywhere without having to download the actual software onto a computer. The cloud services market was valued at $2 billion in 2013. That figure is forecast to treble over the next 5 years. Oracle Japan plans to move databases into the cloud, improving convenience for customers, and to open up new business opportunities.
In databases, Oracle has the biggest share in Japan and globally. With those strengths, we want to now focus on the cloud as a key word for our business. Transitioning to a cloud-based business is our biggest challenge. As we move further into the cloud, sales of our conventional database products will slow. That's the dilemma for us. But we've made the decision to push ahead. Everyone's still figuring out what the cloud is. In contrast, Oracle wants to set the definition for the cloud, to propose the possibilities. That is our ideal. And that means we will define it. So naturally, we believe we can become number one.
Will the leader in databases also scale the heights of the cloud? The company continues to explore the upper limits of technological innovation.
Omron is a company like no other. It defines expectations because engineers are constantly working on something new. Machines that are attuned to the way people think and move. Therein lies technology that will one day help the future. We automate. Omron.
Mitsui & Company. for the glorious future, leading the world in service and technology from Japan to the world. East Japan Railway Company.
Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we have a report from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. So, Uza-san, what's the topic this time?
Yes, this time we'll be looking at robots.
So, we've covered various types of robots in past programs.
Yes, we certainly have. But this time we go inside the labs working to put medical and nursing care robots into practical use. Now, I have a graph over here on the future demographic trends in Japan. And according to the Health, Labour and Welfare Ministry, the number of elderly is expected to reach over 33 million in 2015, making up 30% of the entire population.
And I imagine with more elderly people, we'll need various measures to support them.
Yes, you're right. And the government expects that by 2025, Japan will need 2.4 million nursing care professionals, which is about 1.6 times more than we currently have at the moment. And there's also data that 70% of people working in this field suffer from chronic back pain, and that's because they often have to help the elderly move around.
That many. So is anything being done to address this issue?
Yes, one solution is said to be nursing care robots that can offer physical assistance to the elderly or help people who have trouble moving around. And the market for nursing care robots in Japan, while still small, is forecast to rapidly expand and exceed $300 million by 2020.
Well, I know that medical and nursing care robots are key components in the growth strategy being pushed by Prime Minister Abe.
That's definitely the case. And also the Economy, Trade and Industry Ministry has been launching a project to speed up the practical application of service robots, with research being carried out to collect and analyze robotics data and also develop safety technology.
I see.
Yeah, so while a variety of companies are working on unique nursing care robots, they're also facing a number of challenges. So take a look.
July 3rd, Paris, France. Being held here is the Japan Expo, which showcases Japanese culture. The manga and anime-related booths are bustling with people. A crowd gathers in one area. They're all looking at a robot.
Do you live in Tokyo?
Do you live in Tokyo?
Responding to questions from the French speaker is a robot called Orihime. It nods and looks around curiously. Using amusing movements, it expresses its feelings.
The small gestures are very cute.
It's cute and really high-tech.
This robot is actually being remotely controlled from Japan. Orihime was developed by Kentaro Yoshifuji. He set up his own company 2 years ago. A camera is installed in its forehead and a microphone and speaker in the chest area. By simply downloading a dedicated application, it can be controlled with a tablet device or smartphone. Potential uses include allowing someone in hospital to communicate with family members at home and even go shopping with them virtually. It is a nursing care robot to connect people.
What the robot sees is displayed here. For example, if you want to see this area, then you slide this part to the center. The screen moves as if following your finger. And of course, the robot is moving at the same time.
And a recent addition is the arms. They are moved using 10 or so tabs on the control panel. Pata-pata means flapping both arms to express joy. And there's also one for a Kansai-style reaction. The original idea behind Orihime was
There was a time when I myself wasn't able to go to school.
during childhood, Mr. Yoshifuji suffered from physical problems and was unable to attend school for 3 years.
I started thinking how great it would be if I could let an alter ego go outside and control the robot as if it was my own body.
Orihime was born from his own experience. His dream was something more than what a video phone could offer, a device that could allow a person to feel present in a place with others. The robotics market is forecast to grow to $100 billion over the next 2 decades, with the service industry, including medical and nursing care, accounting for about half that figure. But in Japan, there are still major challenges to overcome in robot development. This is Temzac, a robot maker in Fukuoka Prefecture.
Hello.
This is what they're working on now.
It's an electric wheelchair-type robot. We're adding a lot of communications technology, including control and sensor chips, to turn it into a robot.
The biggest characteristic of this wheelchair-type robot is how it's ridden. When it slides right next to the bed,
then you can get on it yourself.
the company has also partnered with mobile operator NTT Docomo to equip it with a communication function that alerts others when the user has fallen off. They've made 10 prototypes so far, but have hit a big wall.
We want to take it out and test it in various environments, but hospitals in Japan have told us not to bring in anything unless it's absolutely safe. But how are we to verify if it's completely safe? We need to do that somewhere.
Almost no hospitals are willing to test new nursing care robots for which there are no specifications or standards. So, through a government-funded agency, Temzac reached an agreement to carry out practical trials in Denmark. They will begin the program at a local hospital in the autumn. In contrast, Mr. Yoshifuji, who developed Orihime, doesn't have the financial resources to test his invention overseas.
I'm Gaki.
So, he enlisted the help of a certain person.
Is there a function it should be able to do with gestures? You mean like this?
The voice belongs to Yuta Banda. "21 years ago, he suffered a spinal injury in a car accident. He's mostly paralyzed and requires a ventilator at all times. Mr. Yoshifuji learned about Mr. Banda half a year earlier after receiving this message. There are children who can't go outside. Because of their condition, they never see the world outside and things they should see, and fly away to heaven." Paris, where Orihime was unveiled at the Japan Expo. On this day, Orihime is seen on the streets of the French capital. Curious passers-by try to talk to it.
Hello, how are you? Oh. You're very cute, you know? Do you have a girlfriend?
The robot is actually being controlled by Mr. Banda. He then goes to an iconic site in the city.
3, 2, 1. There it is. Arc de Triomphe. Banda, this is the Arc. It's big. Amazing, isn't it?
This is a gift from Mr. Yoshifuji. The first trip overseas for Mr. Banda. Sights he would not have been able to enjoy without the robot. 2 days later at Mr. Yoshifuji's office.
Were you able to see France? How was it?
Mr. Banda has also requested some improvements to the robot.
How was the visual quality? Narrow?
Mr. Banda asks that the visual aspect be widened. So Mr. Yoshifuji takes out...
Does this change anything?
With advice from Mr. Banda, the robot is being improved with the aim of commercializing it next year.
Therapeutic-type robots aren't recognized and covered by insurance in Japan. I want to put this on the market by July next year.
Well, I guess it's clear that there's still a number of hurdles they have to overcome before nursing care robots become widespread.
I agree. And like we saw in the video, there are some very promising technologies, but you do get the impression that there's still a while to go. And what a major issue, I think, is cost, because unless nursing care robots become more affordable, they'll struggle to gain widespread acceptance.
True. Well, if they come up with robots that clearly improve the quality of nursing care, I'm sure they'll become more widespread.
Yes, you're right. And next, we look at the corporate landscape in Japan. Now, a government survey this past March showed that a growing number of people feel economic conditions are improving.
So is the economy really improving?
Well, if you look at corporate bankruptcies, there were 834 cases in May this year, which is down 20% from a year earlier.
So does that mean many businesses are starting to ride the momentum of the improving economy?
Well, that may be true in some cases, but certainly not all. And some small and mid-sized firms are throwing in the towel despite having financially sound businesses. And in our next report, we find out why. So take a look.
Higashi Osaka City. With 6,000 small and big factories, it is a key industrial area in Japan. One workshop here has made a major decision. Marutaka Chuzo, established in 1959. Applying a metal casting technique that uses sand molds, they make components for manufacturing equipment and valves for ships.
We make relatively big parts. The biggest weighs about 2 tons.
The president is Yoshihiro Takai, who is in his 70s. Their main specialty is large-sized components, which are considered difficult to make due to the buildup of unnecessary air inside. So what kind of decision has Mr. Takai made?
We're shutting down this month. I've wanted to do that from 3 or 4 years ago.
Mr. Takai plans to close shop at the end of the month. The factory has been long managed by Mr. Takai and his wife, Hisae.
If either of us fall ill, we'd be in trouble. We're not that big a company. We wanted to quit before we caused trouble for everyone around us. So now's the time.
His wife, Hisae, shows us something she has been carefully keeping. A picture of her husband in front of a burning furnace. At the height of the business, sales reached $3 million. They employed about 50 workers, but in a corner of the office, a case for time cards. Noticeable are the empty slots. Now, they only have 9 workers. So is business that bad to have to call it quits?
No, that's not a problem. Most of my customers still call on me, but I just send them back.
Despite getting work from longtime clients, he says he still wants to pull the plug. While the scale of business has shrunk, the company has remained in the black since its establishment. Including severance pay, shuttering operations will cost $300,000.
There used to be over 20 foundries like us. Now there are only 2, us and another place. So there'll only be 1 left.
Even after deducting that business termination cost, the company will still have $1 million in assets. The phenomenon of companies closing their doors despite being financially solvent is being referred to as hidden bankruptcies. Abenomics has made it easier for small and mid-sized firms to get access to bank credit. And partly as a result, bankruptcies fell below 11,000 cases last year. But at the same time, the number of hidden bankruptcies of still viable businesses has doubled in the past decade. What's behind this trend? A corporate research institution showed us an internal memo.
Many of them are companies valued at less than $5 million. Most are small and mid-sized businesses.
The biggest number by industry is construction. There are also many manufacturing-related companies.
The economy has been in a long deflationary trend, so business has continued to shrink. And even with the economy getting better, many of them seem to have lost the desire to expand. The loss of motivation is a major issue.
In the growth strategy laid out in June last year, the government set a target of 10% for business startups and closures. The aim is to encourage the establishment of new companies to create employment.
We want to raise the startup rate and closure rate. The aim is to improve the metabolism of industry.
But concerns are being raised by the manufacturing sector.
Technology will go extinct. We won't be able to pass it on. That will be a loss for industry in general. An asset of Japan's small and mid-sized firms will be lost.
Koga, Ibaraki Prefecture. One company has managed to overcome its closure crisis through a certain strategy. Midorikawa is a car parts maker founded in 1953. Their strength is manual processing. Workers carefully put together products that require subtle adjustments by hand. The chairman is Koichi Midorikawa. A loss of motivation and lack of successors led him to consider closing shop at one point. His last resort was M&A.
It was really like clutching at straws. I took a big gamble. That was how it felt. That was the only way.
The buyer of Mr. Midorikawa's company was Fumiyuki Nakayama, president of Nakayama, a trading house specializing in machine tools. Midorikawa sold 100% of its equity to Nakayama and became a subsidiary in August last year.
It's a pity if your technology is broken up into pieces just because you don't have successors. I want to hand it over in one piece to the next generation.
New possibilities are opening up for Midorikawa. Nakayama plans to invest in new equipment and reorganize the company.
We'll be setting up 2 new machines here and bring over the general purpose one over there. So we'll start up the new machinery department by September.
They had been focusing on car-related components until now, but plan to handle various other products by applying their strengths in manual precision processing. Along with the technology, they were also able to save the jobs of 60 workers.
Our workers are able to continue doing what they do best. That's the most important point. I believe that's what M&A is about. I'm glad we did this.
This deal was brokered by a company called Strike. Last year, they handled M&A transactions between 120 companies, up 50% from 5 years ago. The president, Kunihiko Arai, believes M&A activity will continue growing in the future.
Shutting down a business entails a huge financial cost, including paying back bank loans. It's something only companies with sufficient assets can do. And those companies are actually good companies and have the potential to attract buyers in an M&A. M&A to protect technology. I believe we need to facilitate more of these types of deals. We need to prevent technology from going extinct just because there aren't any successors.
The growing number of hidden bankruptcies in the shadows of Abenomics. To close or to pass the baton to the next generation, many companies are standing at crossroads.
It's an interesting phenomenon, closing shop before you cause trouble for employees and customers. Maybe it has something to do with the Japanese culture.
It may. But behind these so-called hidden bankruptcies, there are deep concerns about the future, and in that sense, they're essentially no different from regular bankruptcies. And unless these types of business failures are reduced, it's difficult to say that the economy is truly on a recovery path.
I agree. Well, when we come back, a new episode of Takumi.
Tomorrow never ends with you. With you. When the morning falls, we there so long. Well, I know we'll never.
For life's greatest moments. Bridgestone.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do this? We make things like this possible through the power of chemistry. We're the Kaiteki company, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings.
SMBC Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation.
Yanmar. Red. United. 세가의 조선. Passion. Spirit. 次のプレミアムフィールドへ。
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we bring you a segment called Takumi from Science View, a program produced by NHK that introduces the latest developments in science and technology in Japan.
Now, takumi literally means artisan in Japanese, and it's a word often used to describe a person with exceptional skills in a certain craft, a master technician.
So what kind of artisan are we going to be meeting today?
Yes, today we'll be introducing a company that creates large-scale wall designs and objects for commercial facilities and museums.
So rather than something detailed that we usually associate with a craftsman, something big.
Yes, you're right. And what's surprising isn't just the size, but also the very precise movements that excite children as well as adults. So take a look.
Hi, I'm in Saitama Prefecture in the suburbs of Tokyo. Today's Takumi has created something that is gaining attention from Hollywood. Let's go and find out. Hello, I'm Shao Yamamoto.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Today's Takumi is Kazuya Kanemaru. His company makes museum display models and exhibit panels. What will he show us today?
Take a look.
Hi. Oh my god! It's gigantic! And it's moving! Sugoi! Big fangs, sharp claws, and menacing feet. It's a gigantic dinosaur measuring 6 meters long and over 2 meters tall. But when I went to touch it... The dinosaur started to run wild. Today's Takumi has developed a moving dinosaur. The people standing around it are the company staff. Of course, the dinosaur really isn't going wild. It's putting on a show with the staff acting as its keepers. The dinosaur is capable of quick, agile movements and can operate in 360 degrees. It fiercely bares its teeth in front of the camera. Impressive, isn't it? This is a robot, right?
No, it's not. It's a mechanical suit.
In fact, there's a person inside the dinosaur controlling it. The Takumi calls this creation a mechanical suit. But how can this gigantic body move in such an agile way? The first secret lies in its lightweight. The exterior skin and other parts use carbon, aluminum, and polycarbonate plastic. It also does not use any motor or other power devices. The neck, tail, and mouth are manually operated using levers, springs, and pulleys. Altogether, it weighs only 30 kilos, about the same weight as a child. Even still, can a person really move so quickly wearing all that weight? First, I tried picking up 30 kilos. This is 30! It's heavy! You can't move with this. Even with its light weight, Kanemaru still needed to find a way to make the suit easy to operate. So he calculated the dinosaur's weight balance for its width, length, and height to figure out where the person inside the dinosaur should be. He determined the exact spot where a person can make the biggest movements using as little power as possible. For example, when the dinosaur moves like this, it looks as though it is swinging its tail, but in fact, the movement of the feet creates momentum that causes the tail to swing. This is possible because the weight of the tail is perfectly balanced with the weight of the head. Can you show us how you maneuver it?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you. It's a company secret.
Really? I wanted to ride inside it too. Kanemaru started out making movie sets. Then one day, he visited an event for a movie about dinosaurs. What he saw there was a computer-operated dinosaur that could only keep repeating the same movements.
It was an event with dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs couldn't actually walk. I wanted to see something like in the movies. I wanted it to walk around.
Kanemaru set out to make a prototype that looked real. He decided that a robot wouldn't be able to move freely, so he came up with a way of having a person operate it from inside. Development costs soared as he devoted his time to making dinosaurs.
Making things, especially dinosaurs, is so much fun. I think it's because it's like you're making a real living animal. It's my goal to make something that is just like the real thing.
Kanemaru created his own software and used it to simulate the movement of the dinosaur again and again. He continued to make adjustments in an effort to make its movements as real as possible. There are also cameras around the dinosaur. Video from these cameras is sent inside the dinosaur, but we can't show you that either because it's a company secret too. Using this video, the person inside knows exactly how far it is from the audience. So when I'm standing near the dinosaur like this, the cameras show the operator exactly where I am. That's how the dinosaur was able to wow audiences by moving in such unpredictable ways.
It's not like we use any special technologies. We just make the most of small ideas. Just a single small idea may seem boring, but if you gather 100 of those ideas, you end up with something completely different. That's what keeps me going.
Dinosaurs that move like they're actually alive. That was just so thrilling.
Yes.
And despite being that big, you only need one person to move them.
I know, that was the impressive part, and the amazing thing is that they don't use powerful motors but actually rely on principles of leverage to move them, and the craftsmen employed innovative techniques to create the world's first dinosaur model that walks on two legs.
So the movements were so real. And I'm sure it's fun to watch, not just for kids, but as you said, also for adults as well.
Definitely. And they say it's in big demand for events across Japan, and also is generating interest from Hollywood movie producers.
Yes, a movie would be perfect. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next week.
Welcome to Tokyo Skytree. This is the grand panoramic view from 450 meters. Here you'll experience the unforgettable. Look, enjoy, be amazed, and be awestruck. That's what Tokyo Skytree is all about. Japan's latest landmark, Tokyo Skytree.
Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way? The Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Why do we always do that?
I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
Panasonic Ultra High Resolution 4K, extending the frontiers of TV.
Vamos lá.
Allowing passions to flow, values to converge, enhancing imagination. Places abloom with captivating images, bring a new kind of connection to people's lives. Panasonic 4K solutions. Break the boundaries.
Panasonic.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Maki Arai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week we bring you the freshest information out of Japan right here from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are our topics for today.
Oracle Japan, a leader in database solutions, reaches up into the cloud.
In World Business Satellite, nursing care robots and research to put them into practical use.
Also from World Business Satellite, businesses in the black that still go bankrupt.
And in Takumi, a craftsman who created something that's indistinguishable from the real thing. So let's get started. First up is a video report from the Nikkei online edition. So, Utsuda-san, what do we have today?
Yes, this time we'll be looking at an unusual machine that's being used in food processing factories and in the kitchens of restaurants. So take a look. Now, this is one of the biggest exhibitions in Asia on food-related equipment, and about 700 companies participated.
So these are all the latest machines in the industry?
Yes, that's right.
Yakitori.
Yes. Now, the company at this booth